Afternoon, Fulham fans, to another episode of Live by the River, where we're going to do a quick response, probably an ill-advised quick response to the match that we just watched, where Fulham won 2-1 at the Cottage against Brighton. Now, even though we won that match, I really don't think we probably deserved to win that. We didn't play very well. I thought overall our play was far too ponderous. We weren't quick enough with our passing and not direct enough. And passages of that play, we just couldn't seem to keep the ball. So there were worrying signs. And also I think the issues of midfield are still very clear. I think we were out-muscled by a technically very good and very strong Brighton midfield. Kevin's still not kind of at it quite yet, and that's slightly worrying. Robinson's also doesn't seem particularly fit at the moment, and there were issues. I honestly didn't think that we were going to win that much, but let's just try and quickly break down just some of the key events of this match. So we started off fairly well. Rowell had a chance which the keeper saved, the Brighton keeper saved, and it was a shot on target, but that, our shots on target, let's just say, were few and far between. Berger still seemed to be a little bit on the back foot throughout this match, and there were signs that was going to become a bit of a problem. And in the 27th minute, you've got a bit of a wonder goal by a Yari. And again, you could argue that Leno should have perhaps done a little bit better. But nevertheless, it was a powerful wonder shot. So it was now Brighton 1-0 up. And from that sort of time, Brighton just seemed to be on the ascendant. We couldn't get into their final third particularly successfully. We had lots of mistakes. I mean, Leno had another mistake where he left the goal open and Castagna had to clear the line. Brighton's midfield were seemingly utterly dominant, and their block was incredibly effective. We couldn't break them down when we did get the ball. And it just seemed that, there was no way we were ever going to score. Now, when the second half came, no changes by Silva, and there was a chance for Brighton. Mitoma had a chance against Leno. This is round about the 55th minute. Welbeck had another chance, which again, perhaps they should have scored. And, the same pattern return where we were just losing those midfield duels. Then we had in the 58th minute, Kevin came off and Chukwueze on, and Robinson came off and Sessegnon came on. And, there were small glimmers of hope there where Cuenca did a lovely switcher play to Wilson and got a corner, but none of the corners seemed to pan out particularly well for us. Again, Berger was not winning those midfield battles. And then in the 68th minute, you've got Smith Rowe coming off for Kearney. And it seemed also that Chukwueze then went on the right and Iwobi then moved to the left. Then, of course, in the 72nd minute, you've got Anderson, who did this beautiful long ball all the way to Chukwueze, who scores fantastically. I mean, he slots it into the bottom corner. And then literally straight after that, Welbeck scored a goal. And obviously, as a Fulham fan, you don't want them to score. But in terms of football, that goal should have stood. I mean, if Vert's goal was allowed to stand, I don't understand why Welbeck's goal was actually disallowed. That, that must have been gut-wrenching for the Brighton fans. And you don't want that sort of goal to be ruled out. If that had been a Fulham goal, that would have been heartbreaking. I would have been really, really angry if that had been ruled out. So, but as a Fulham fan, you take that. Again, we're back to 1-1, probably unjustifiably, but you have to take it. So we're back to 1-1 now. And in the 78th minute, you have a fantastic save by Leno from a Welbeck header, although Welbeck had headed it sort of straight at him, but it was a great kind of reflex kind of save. And overall, you're thinking that, Brighton still perhaps are still in the ascendant. But then we get to sort of like the 84th minute, and then there's no doubt about it. Brighton are swarming in our final third. They're pressing us. The pressure was all on Fulham in those final the minutes in, between like the 81st all the way through really to the 89th minute. Iwobi had come off and Josh King came on in the 87th. And then there were 4 extra minutes. And King wins a foul in Brighton's final third. And Wilson scores a wonder goal from a free kick. And, what an amazing feeling that must have been for everybody at the ground. It was certainly amazing for us watching it. But my only concern is that can we keep just relying on these moments of sublime skill by a tiny minority of players? So Chukwueze, broke down that press literally by a long ball. So we were saved by a long ball by Anderson and a Chukwueze wonder finish. And we were saved by Wilson doing a fantastic free kick. And again, I think that's something that we really need, as Fulham fans, we need to think about is that good enough for now? We were really lucky to take away a win, which obviously we'll take, but I think we were very fortunate. And I think we need to really look at what is happening with our transfers, and we really need that defensive midfielder. We really need someone that can drive forward but has that bite and that ability to keep the ball and out-muscle other midfielders, which I think at the moment we're lacking. So thank you so much for listening to this sort of quick response. Please join us when Tomo and I do the full 20 minutes probably, where we look sort of more in depth at the match. And come on, you Whites.